Pokemon sued Palworld because Palworld did ZA better than ZA. Now, I got ZA on the midnight launch, and it honestly was a lot of fun. Shout out to GameStop for making that a really cool experience for my family and I. And if you want to know more about that, it's in another video. But I've played, I don't know, probably close to 60, 80 hours of Palworld, and it's pretty fun. I don't think I would have paid more than 30, 40 bucks for it, but it's a really good time. It looks pretty good. I think the battling's somewhat solid, but where it really shined was in the exploration and customization and how you build up your base and how you raised and treated the pals, I guess. I don't really remember. But it definitely 100% lacked in the story part of it. Like, I don't know what's going on. I didn't really care. But it's a good experience. The co-op part of it was huge. I played it with one of my kids a lot. And honestly, like, that kind of working together to get the different creatures and building our base and stuff together was a lot of fun. And I think that's where Pokemon freaked out. I don't think they should be able to own that concept. That seems pretty shady on an illegal sense, and just morally, like, kind of like the Nemesis system being copyrighted. Like, everyone should have access to that. That's not fair to be able to sue. I don't remember if they didn't want it in or if that's still an ongoing thing, but to me, like, if you're putting your resources and the effort into the game that you have between the two companies that make Pokemon, the Nintendo and Game Freak, I believe, you shouldn't have to sue. You're wasting time and money unless you're afraid, or you're just petty, which the current or modern day Nintendo seems to be. ZA is fun. It's in no way a bad game. It's definitely not a bad Pokemon game. It's not Arceus, which I still think of the Switch, or any of the Pokemon games on the Switch, including like the remakes or remasters or whatever. Arceus is by far the best. Story's great. I really love the gameplay. All that. It's all around. That would be a game I would consider S tier in the Pokemon gaming world. ZA is. It's like. It's fine. It's fine. There are parts of it that are really fun. I do think a lot of the missions keep it fresh. I have not completed it, but I do find the story actually pretty interesting and enjoyable. Probably obviously not as good as Arceus, but probably one of the better ones in a long time. I could have cared less about Sword and Shield. I enjoyed Scarlet and Violet's, but it lacked as much, even though I enjoyed those games a lot. I mean, it's definitely, it's a solid B if I had to give it a letter grade. It's a 7.5 out of 10 in a game. The problem with that is the optics of suing Palworld because of how they made that game. You were afraid someone else made a better version of the game. And Palworld's actual world itself, although it's not super big and super complex, looks better. ZA could have done a lot more with the aesthetic of the city. If you're going to set the entire game in the city, you're not going to have that sense of exploration that, you know, the other games gave you, like Scarlet and Violet and such, or even like Diamond and Pearl for the Switch. Like, yeah, no, it's somewhat smaller, but from place to place made you feel the world was big. All the buildings are just kind of the same. It's the same, like, copy and paste pattern. And with the amount of money and people they have, it seems pretty excusable not to give the city more personality than what there is. Yeah, you really could have made this something special. You had the time, you have the resources, and you chose not to make it special. And that blows my mind. it could have really been like just the team working on that stuff. I know a lot of it has to do with how things are hidden and stuff, but you can still work within that and made it creative and fun and uniquely Pokemon. You could made it like a real thing that people are just like, yeah, you remember seeing like that city, Illumina, whatever it is, was incredible. Like I can't wait to go back and play it. But it's just copy and pasted building pattern after copy and pasted building pattern. And I get the idea of it all being set in the city, but it feels small. It does not feel like maybe that's just how my brain works. It may not be how a lot of people feel. It feels cramped. It does not feel like there's a lot there, even though it is huge. Just with the lack of variety, and no, you can't even go out a little bit outside. Like I think even doing somewhat outside the city would have been fine. Maybe have like suburbs of that city that you can go visit, like little towns that you can't go much past that, or something. It just, I don't know. There wasn't enough. And another thing for me, and maybe I think it works for what it is the change in the combat system not being turn-based anymore. I'm old and it goes really fast, and I like the strategy of the turn-based stuff. I always enjoyed that, but I get it's time for a change. That's not necessarily knocking on it. It's just excuse me, what I miss about Pokemon and the change. And I don't remember if you guys did Arceus. I didn't, but be able to change moves on and off whenever you feel like it kind of takes a lot of the strategy out of it, and the whole point of like raising the Pokemon in the bond. Everything feels too expendable. Like you can catch 80 of the same Pokemon and you just get the most powerful one, and you can switch the moves so you're not feeling I really enjoyed the ones you would catch and work with and give the moves to, the sense of like ownership and loyalty and camaraderie you got in that. I think a lot of that is lost in this. Again, that's just a person who played the older games, kind of missing that feeling, maybe that nostalgia. But overall, like it could have been. It's a good game. It could have been great, and they did. It's like having a kid who's got all the potential in the world and just gets seized because they know that's good enough and it'll be fine. It's like all this potential's there. You want it to do well because you love it, and it doesn't. For them, I bought Switch 2 version with the DLC that comes out in March because that's what my kids wanted, and it's the big release we're getting this year, so fine. I don't know how much it would have been without like the discount that GameStop was giving for buying the DLC that day or that night. But it was around $105, I think, total for the game and DLC, which for what the game is, it's outrageous. $60, it's palatable. It's digestible. I'm not thrilled, but that's what games have been for a long time. And you have a standard at $60. Okay, fine, whatever. At $80, it's a rip. It's almost any game. I don't think there's a lot of games I would say, oh yeah, $80 is ever going to be worth it. Especially the only reason it's that high is because it can be. It's not because it needs to be. And there's a lot of things in the world that are like that right now, which sucks. But to get at the game, you can buy the DLC day of, but you just can't play it day of, is crazy to me. And you're charging basically over $100 for one game, and to get the complete game, because you have to buy the DLC. I'm less upset with the $80 price tag if the DLC is at least included with the Nintendo Online, which they have done with some expansions or DLC, or even upgrades from games like I believe the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. At least one of those, if not both, you got free upgrade if you had the from Switch 1 to Switch 2. But it's tough. It's if I'm just looking at it as a game, it's solid. Like I said, solid. B plus, maybe even great. But if we're including the price, circumstances, and all that, I really don't know if it's worth your time unless you truly love Pokemon and you feel like you can do that price. Outside of that, it's fine. So overall, if you want a really fun Pokemon experience for less, and you don't want to spend $100, get Arceus, or even Scarlet and Violet if you need, a slightly different style of game. Because I know Arceus did change up the formula a little bit. That would be my recommendations for it.